deal with that? Because ultimately every system is made up of people. And the issue you're raising here involves people. So how do we doctor the human element in the process? Because without doctoring the human element positively, this ease of doing business thing and whole 9 yards, we're still going to be having issues.
Everywhere in the world, there are human beings, of course, supported by technology. And this government have been working around cleaning up the ease of doing business with technology. In the port, you hear a single window. But a single window working, we keep on talking about it. And the challenge is that when government even make pronouncement, whether through law, regulation, or executive order, about 7 executive order now, the challenge is that the agencies of government itself that's supposed to respect those orders or rules and regulations on their own with pride completely disobey those orders.
Isn't that why they have the
disobey those orders? At some point, you say that the highway, the custom that stays in the highway, stopping trucks and whatever after clearing from the port should leave. Custom made that pronouncement. Did it happen? No. So we are in a country where policies and rules are made and they are not respected and there's no consequence.
Isn't people doing something about that? The Enabling Council, which is
they are doing something about that, but drive from here to Onitsha, drive from here to Kano, you see this. So on paper, payback is doing something. In reality,
goes back to the human element we just talked about. So how do we doctor that? These are issues that your organization should also be able to do so. Because there have been cases, I'm sure you're probably aware of collaboration or between public sector officers and the private sector which you belong to corrupt the system.
Yeah, of course. It takes two to tango. It takes two to tango.
So what's your agency doing?
The person that holds the hammer is the government that said no and you get discipline and sanction. Of course, if it's supposed to take me 2 days to clear my goods in the port, and as I'm watching, other people are clearing their own, even in as I'm watching, people are clearing, and I see how they are clearing. You play along. So you see government officials putting a lot of, can I say, impediment, artificial, man-made challenges or impediment on the way, and you have your goods to clear. You incur demurrage. Sometimes it's even a perishable goods. What do? You play along. So there are always incentives for private sector to play along. But again, these are things we don't support. So as a private sector, what we do is, one, we continue to preach ethics. We continue to tell our people that you can really not go far if you are not ethical in running your businesses. But then, government needs to do more by sanctioning officers, by naming and shaming, not just naming their officers, but also naming and shaming private sector collaborators that really engage in undermining the system.
Will that take the ratings, which currently stands at 6%, as to other countries in Africa, 16 to 18%? Will that take our ratings up?
Yes, that will take our ratings up. Like all the things we're saying here is how to grow the tax base. That businesses need to thrive. New businesses have to thrive. Old businesses need to expand, and as they are doing that, they are hiring. When the tax base is expanded, of course, government revenue will naturally go up. And as the environment is enabled, foreign direct investment will flow in and it will be good for everybody. But the starting point is for government to be more transparent and play according to the rule.
Okay, some I just wonder, is it because we have a minimum wage of 27,000 naira now, you want to increase VAT and take it to the National Assembly? But it's a different matter entirely. Well, Vincent Wine is Head of Research for Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you for coming on this morning. All right, well, back in a moment. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to Sunrise Early. So just before we go, well, here's the breaking news we brought to you earlier in the course of the program. With barely 3 weeks to the presidential election, the candidate of the Allied Congress Party of Nigeria, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, has withdrawn from the race to form a coalition against the ruling All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party. In a statement released this morning, she says her decision to withdraw from the race followed extensive discussions with Nigerians at home and in the diaspora. According to her, the action is also prompted by an examination of the country's electoral environment sequel to the 2019 presidential debate of Saturday, January 19, 2019. The statement says, quote, "It is my ardent belief that this broad coalition for a viable alternative has now become more than ever before an urgent mission for and on behalf of Nigerian citizens. I have therefore chosen to lead the way in demonstrating the much-needed patriotic sacrifice for a national revival and redirection. Dr. Ezekwesili says this action is just a demonstration of the commitment she made under the presidential aspirants coming together pact agreement in 2018. She also says, quote, however, despite resistance from the Allied Congress Party of Nigeria on these and other issues, I have decided that it is now necessary to show by action and example my determination on this issue by stepping down my candidacy so as to focus squarely on building the coalition to a logical conclusion, end quote. Well, the former education minister says, having made it clear that the country has always had a 20-year cycle, the year 2019 begins another cycle, and she is ready to join other Nigerians of goodwill to ensure that the country does not miss this golden opportunity. Very instructive there.
Very instructive indeed. It is that coalition that she's talking about. One wonders if it will be a veritable alternative, according to her, from the PDP, APC. That she's you remember she had this red card before the campaigns even started. She had this red card that she was flagging off against the PDP and the APC. One wonders, now that she is out of the race, does that give people who had hope that perhaps
out of the race from the front lines?
From the front lines,
so she's just going to
at the back.
Be behind now.
And who will she support at the end?
Well, that's another question. But then, you know, the 20-year cycle thing that we talked about, I just remember that in 1979, the 20-year cycle just took about, say, 3-4 years? 3 years. And we were back to what we had before that 1979. What kind of change are we looking at in this?
It was not sustainable, in other words.
It wasn't sustainable. Even the one in 1959 into 1960, where we had the independence, a few years down the line, we had a war. So I think what we really need to do is have a new long-term thinking if we're going to have a more prosperous 20-year cycle.
Why did you say you have that long-term thinking? Talk to the chairman.
A lot of people always say that. But you know,
politicians will be
59, 79, 99.
It's actually quite
now
instructive.
29 is deep.
Very, very instructive.
But lots of people have. I mean, I've looked at this from different perspectives previously, not even on the show, but it's really deep.
Yeah.
And lots of people need to understand how this cycle works. So if you really go down, I mean, I don't know how much of political historians or presidential historians we've got who can shed some light on this kind of matter. So we all need to go back, take a look at it. Perhaps personally, if you look at that personally, you may just find yourself having to play a very key role in terms of how you move forward, internalizing this particular focus that she's raised here. This 20-year cycle is very key. So how you position yourself, could that take you going forward, or you may find yourself going beneath. All right, so there you go. That's the show this week. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Gimba Umar.
And I'm Ayo. Makine, have a wonderful day.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.